Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm your host, Jerrika Kelly, with my amazing co-host, Kelly Sarlo, and we're two of the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Here today with an exciting topic. Well, I'm excited to hear. But before we get to it, how are you, Kelly?
I'm really good. How are you, Jer?
Good. I'm doing quite well. I recently bought a stand-up desk, which it's funny because they're not like a new craze or anything. Like, they've been around for a while, and it's even more funny because I've been preaching them as a health coach, like, change up your desk position. But I've never actually been a desk worker, so I've never needed one. And
Right.
not to say that I fully am, but I'm finding myself spending more and more time at the computer. So I finally get to see what it feels like to have one, and it's quite awesome.
Very cool. Are you going to have like a little treadmill underneath it at some point?
I'm sure one day, like, let's be real. I've been seeing those all over social media now, and they know you buy your phone. I say they, but whoever they are on your phone, they know you buy a stand-up desk. So now it's like, and then they know I follow fitness accounts, people who use the treadmill, the stepper underneath, and I'm sure I'll keep getting targeted for a while until I get one.
Mm-hmm. So you're like, This is my idea. I wanted this.
Yeah. Exactly. Do you have is your desk like, can you go up and down?
No, I invested in an IKEA desk. It's my favorite place to shop, but they also have sit to stand desks, which I think will be my next move. But this is so solid and beautiful that I can't just love anyone.
Yeah, I don't blame you. One day when it gets a bit of wear and tear, but
yeah,
they have the ones where you place them right on top of your current desk that you have, and then you have the option.
That's true. Okay. Well, thank you for spending all my money.
You're welcome. Okay, so today I want to talk about Spartan Race, and this is the race that we do as a team in October of every year. But I just wanted to get Kelly's take. I'm going to interview Kelly because she was the one that said last year in 2020, well, whatever. I don't even know how this works, but last year it was the biggest hell no. I'm sticking with my nephew. I'm hanging out with the kids. I'll watch. I'll cheer you on. And it was like a hard no. And to this year, now having completed her first Spartan race, I'm just excited to get her take. And I really think for everyone listening, this will be the realest, most honest response you're going to get from someone who, wasn't really interested to all the way to doing it, versus Alex and I coming on here and, preaching and hyping it up, and because we're right immersed in it and we love it. So I'm excited to get an honest, real take from you.
Cool. Okay. Do you want to lead or just go?
I'll have I was thinking like a before, during, and after, and I'm gonna ask you some questions, but please take it in any direction that you want to.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so obviously before, this is like the prep for the race. Kelly was doing a lot of hill training before. Did you feel prepared? Like, going into it, when you're showing up to Spartan, like, did you feel that you put the work in? Do you feel prepared?
That's a loaded question. I knew I put in the time. I knew I put in like the kilometers and the incline. I know also that I probably didn't push myself as hard as I could have in the training process. Yet I felt prepared, like, because I had, been out, 3 or 4 days a week. There was a feeling of preparation. I've also never climbed a true mountain before. And that was an experience that I think going into it, you don't feel prepared, because it's like, well, I've just never done this before. And I have a need to be perfect in a lot of things. So walking up a mountain was a little bit intimidating.
For sure. And like, imagine people who live there. Like, that could be their daily hike, right? So there's definitely a difference in, depending on where you live and what you have access to. That'd be a game changer for sure.
Yeah.
Was there nervousness?
I would imagine, yes. I've got some complicated stuff going on with my digestive system right now, where I can't feel my stomach. So it actually served me really well in that I couldn't feel the nerves on the day of.
Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah, that just kind of coincided, coincidentally. But yeah, like I knew there was a feeling of like, I am outside of my comfort zone. But it was
In a good way?
yeah, I think because, you know, Alex especially, he did a really great job right from the beginning explaining what a communal event it was and how people, you know, if they see you struggling, they're going to offer you a hand where they're allowed to. So there was a feeling of like, okay, if I'm really struggling, someone will be there.
Yeah.
And you know, he would say like, you could walk it today and you'd be fine. Um, you know, my timing wouldn't be great and I might not be the strongest, but you could at least complete it. So there was this feeling of self-efficacy going into it, and knowing that it was also going to challenge me and push me outside my comfort zone.
Awesome. I love that you touched on that because leads me into kind of my next thoughts is so we went as a team. There was quite a few of us there and all decked out in bright red, which was awesome for me at the bottom of the hill, being able to point you guys out, no problem. But having the accountability of a team, was that a game changer for you in terms of just people being around, or would you have done it alone?
I would never have done it alone. I don't know, like I'm already signed up for another one next year.
That leads me to my last question, but okay, we'll start with it.
But having said that, like I wouldn't do another one alone. I think like
Okay,
the
so that was a huge
accountability,
factor.
yeah, the
Yeah.
accountability, and with the fun too of doing the experience with other people was more of what I was looking for. I recognize that people like yourself are going into the elite category and you're pushing for personal bests, and I'm out to enjoy my people and some scenery.
Right. And it sure is beautiful, wasn't it?
So, oh my
I
God.
did tell her to stop and enjoy the view
Yeah,
because it's the colors are amazing. You can see the water and it's pretty awesome.
it was spectacular.
Awesome. Okay. That's good. It's kind of like an intro. I wanted people to just get a feel for that it's not so daunting and I really recommend going in with a friend, if not multiple.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. I'm glad you agree. Okay, let's talk about the during the what happened in between. So first and foremost, we could talk about the conditions because I've never seen anything like this.
Oh,
We had rain, yeah, never. We had so much rain the day before, and leading up to it, that the hill was a mess, like mud on mud on mud. So it really changed the game. Even watching the elites the day before was a totally different race for them as well, just time wise. So I'm excited to see. Did you love the mud? Were you into it? How did it feel? Tell us about that part.
all of the above. I loved it. I hated it. I embraced it. Resisted it. I don't know. I was many people on this race. Um, 'Cause, like, you can't fully avoid it. Like, I saw where the trails were outlined. We kind of went around certain areas to kind of make it easier. There were areas that you just could not avoid the mud. It got caked on and kind of suctioned you down, so you're kind of just embracing it so that your body can move. And then there were quite a few downhills where the entire course was mud and people were skirting around it, and a friend and I just slid down on our butts.
I love it. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I was
so
like
that
yelling that at people, please just slide. It looks so fun.
yeah, so that was, I felt like a kid in some moments of just like,
Awesome.
you know, abandoning those inhibitions and just having fun. So the mud was a complete like other element of the race altogether.
Yeah, that we weren't expecting, and definitely changed the game. And probably would have made it so hard to climb the hill if your foot was just like slipping. I couldn't even imagine.
Oh,
Um,
people were sliding back into each other, and you're like lifting others up, like it was pretty wild.
I love it. Love it. Okay, I want you to take this kind of in any direction of the during, like the obstacles now, the hills, like what you liked, which ones you didn't, anything you want to talk about
Yeah.
of during the race.
Okay, so I think it's important to note too that like you're sitting here with a host who has literally won all of the races for Spartan on Blue Mountain. I went in with a very different expectation and intention, and that was, as you know, to complete it first and foremost, and to
Yeah.
make every attempt at the obstacles, minus the rope climb, which I knew I didn't have the technique for.
Okay.
So my intent was try every obstacle and complete the race, meaning don't give up,
Love it.
which is exactly what I did. And the obstacles were a ton of fun. Running is something that has always frightened me. I've dealt with asthma throughout my life. So I was really conscientious to kind of conserve energy between the obstacles because the intent was the obstacles more so than time.
Right.
So even though it kind of stresses you to watch people fly by you and you know that they're going faster and further, it was like, okay, keep my intention grounded and then just enjoy and watch how you can improve on the obstacles. So that helped me kind of pace myself, I'll say. And then just being able to meet each obstacle and watch the people who went before me to see how they were doing it, how people strategize to do the same obstacle year after year, was really eye-opening. In the first obstacle at the top of the hill, I was in like my panic of like, go, go, go. And I didn't pause long enough to watch how people were doing it. And I just attempted it. And I got super frustrated with myself and gave up too soon. And when I stood back to wait for some of my friends where we were all running together, I was like, had I just taken a breath, relaxed, and like observed, I could have walked in a lot more confidently and successfully. So that was a lesson right at the very beginning of the race.
It's a huge take home even for everyone. And that's for anyone at any stage. You just, if you go too fast without thinking, that's where, especially with like the conditions as well, you're asking for something that may not be the outcome that you're looking for. So that I take that, and that's advice I would give, and I still use to this day. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, like the obstacles themselves, going from a 4-foot wall to a 6-foot wall, I'm like, how? But that was a very communal experience to have other people, hoisting people that they didn't know, or groups of people that ran together over
Love that.
wall. I'm a softie. I love mushy things, and to watch people come together and treat each other with so much like compassion and empathy, like I teared up a little bit.
That's the best.
Yeah, it's really fun. And that's why I've always loved team sports, because you're in an experience together. So to go into what is truly a race and see that kind of sportsmanship, I just love seeing humanity. So that was really nice.
Yeah, I think that's like such a big misconception with the Spartan race. And again, it depends which one you're doing, but if it's your first one, I highly recommend doing the open, because you'll see exactly what Kelly is describing, like that community, that everyone's helping each other. Everyone wants everyone to succeed. It's not about, you're all in that to complete it and to do the obstacles as best you can. So that's the one that's the first race I ever did. And that's what made me fall in love with it, because of what Kelly's exactly describing, is that community aspect.
Yeah, and even on the obstacles themselves, not the wall in particular, but one where like multiple people are on the obstacle at the same time, there was so much patience. Like people didn't rush you to skirt around you or make you feel like you were in their way. It was very much like, no, take your time. Like I'll go when you're done or you're ready. It's just a lot of kindness and mindfulness instead of me, which was really, really cool.
Yeah. The lineups didn't seem too bad at the ones that I were at too, and it seemed pretty well organized. So that's good.
Yeah. And even just like the nice little hints of people, as they're running by you, or they've completed it, or they're like waiting behind you and you're, waiting to get on the monkey bars or run up the wall with a rope or something. They would even say like, try doing this, you angle your body here. And it's just like, thank you, stranger. That was really
so awesome. Yeah, because some people do them like crazy numbers of Spartans every year, and they're just there to still have fun and just help you out. Yeah, I saw a lot of that too. That's awesome.
So in terms of like, I noticed there was like commonalities between some of the obstacles. So what was really fun for me is to know that all of the carries that we had to do, no matter, how you were expected to carry them, felt really strong, really good. And I remember thinking, oh, Jerrika set me up really well for this race. The movement program that you had put me on. So that was a confidence booster for sure. And then of course, like the obstacles that challenge my fear of heights. So, I'll speak to the people who fears heights, going up those, like, I don't know what the material is called, but almost like mesh or seatbelt kind of material when you're going up these walls. Some of them are A-frames, some of them are just like straight up rectangles, and you're coming back down. I have a fear of heights and ladders.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea. This is news.
like most of my recurring nightmares include ladders, and small spaces. So to kind of get up there and be like, okay, you're okay. It's a mental game too, right? You're not just physically pushing your body for strength. It was also a mental and emotional block that I've had for a really long time. But again, that kind of communal feel, and also watching people be successful gives you the feeling of like, oh, okay, this isn't superhuman. I can do this.
Yes. And you probably still felt badass after completing something that, is one of your fears.
Yeah, absolutely.
Multiple times, not even just once.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to like this life lesson, I'll say, of just like slow down. I think a lot of times when fear gets involved, we want to speed up, we want to like muscle through it and get it done. And I can appreciate that. But also just being able to slow down and breathe, watch your footing, think things through, like it wasn't that hard, right? And I say this to people who have generalized anxiety disorder in my coaching practice, where they have a hard time going into a parking garage because they don't want to navigate the parking meter tickets. And I'm like, if you stand, take a breath, slow down and read, you will be okay. And they're like, oh my God, like, why did I not think of that as a solution? It was the same life lesson, going through a fear of heights or going through a fear of anything through this race. So it was a good metaphor.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, one of the questions that we had a lot of before we started was what to wear, how should I dress, everything like that. So were you feeling prepared in terms of the gear you had, the clothing you had? Did you feel dressed appropriately? I think this is always a big one when it comes to Spartan, like, what do I wear? Did you feel prepared?
Yeah, I did. You gave us really great advice. And I think, we were obviously watching the weather leading up to it, and it was so cold and so windy, but also so wet from all the mud, that it was just like a mixture of weird elements. So to have been coached to wear, movable, flexible pants, but also layers, which I probably wouldn't have run a race in, honestly, if I was just left to my own devices. I did feel really prepared. And knowing that there was going to be mud, wearing things that I didn't mind wrecking. I did hear
true.
down the hill and like tore open the butt of the seat of their pants.
I saw it, actually. It's wild. You see like these people's clothes are like little butt flaps walking around because of like the ground tore up their pants completely.
Okay.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah, I did. I felt really supported in knowing what to wear, head to toe, like hat to shoes.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. That was a big one. Cool. This is, I think a lot of people take a lot of take homes. Is there anything else during, or do we want to talk about the after component?
I think the only other thing that I can really think of in the during is just the, maybe I've already said it, but just the encouragement that is still necessary, especially if it is your first time, because I feel like more people who are listening to this are probably resonating with the, I want to attempt it, but I'm afraid.
Right. Yeah.
Running it with someone is really great, because as I got winded or a friend got winded, like there was an ability to sit and have that compassion and say, like, just take a breather. We're just here to have fun. We're just here to complete it. Whereas a lot of people tend to get really hard on themselves and maybe feel like they need to tap out and can't do it. It's just it's not insurmountable, the race or the hill itself. So just kind of pacing yourself and remembering your intent.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I mean, I think, and everyone listening, even if it is someone who's done it before, these are all really good reminders, to be honest. So it doesn't matter if it's their first or their third. Okay, so you finished the race. You got the medal, you got the t-shirt, whatever, everything that they hand you. Your hands are usually full at the end. Tell us about the feeling after, like a huge sense of accomplishment, I assume. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently, is a big question I have for you.
Yeah. Okay. So I should have listened to my coach and done a little bit more running. In terms of like that cardio, because I focused more on strength training, which was really interesting. So Alex and I did a lot of strength training, and his wife Devin did cardio the entire time leading up to the race, and all three of us had very different outcomes, which is really neat. So I wish I had done a healthier balance of the two, because cardio is where I'm a little weaker. And when you're kind of in that state of like feeling like you can't catch your breath, as you psychologically feel weaker when you approach an obstacle that requires strength. So I certainly wish that I would have incorporated a little bit more conditioning that way, even though I was doing hills, right? Because we were power walking up them, but I wasn't I wasn't training myself too hard, if that makes sense, or hard enough, I should
Right.
say.
Yeah, because you almost want to do that tough cardiovascular component, get your heart rate pumping, and then try to do some form of strength training exercise, like bringing something with you, because you're right, you have lack of oxygen to the muscles, so of course they're not going to work as well. Or just learning how to do different breath work, like in for next year, incorporating breath work into your running routine, where you do a run and we work on breathing and dropping as she writes something down. As we work on dropping the heart rate back down, so that when you get to the wall, where there's one, it's called the Z wall, and it requires very just on your tippy toes and very small little minute movements. We need to get that heart rate down so we can move slowly and move precisely, right? So being able to control your heart rate a little bit better is another big one. And it goes hand in hand with running, between obstacles and running a little bit more leading up to it. So that's an awesome take home.
Yeah, cool. I also, something I wish I would have done differently, and we've already touched on this because you've now got me training for the next one, is I did a lot of hangs because who's been on a monkey bar set in the last 30 years, right? What I wish I would have done is kind of like redistribute my weight and swing, or sway, or anything, even alternating hands, because when I got to the monkey bars, though I was used to hanging, I wasn't used to moving my weight. And I was trying to hold my core in during the training and stay still, which is the opposite of what the race is.
You're flopping around. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. And you had the component of wet bars, and everything was like wet or muddy. So not only are you working your grip strength, but you're working your grip strength like tenfold, because now you're trying to work through a bit of a not most ideal condition.
Yeah.
And actually, that much harder.
I did not come prepared with gloves. I saw a lot of people day of wearing specific gloves for the race. I wish I could have or had thought of that in advance, since that was a brilliant game changer. Someone supplied them for me, but I would invest in those I will invest in those when I go back.
Especially in the conditions that you guys were in. So what they were doing was, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were wearing the gloves during the run and the hill, and allowing the gloves to get muddy, and then you were taking them off, right, to have clean hands when you got to the grip areas, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's brilliant. And honestly, it didn't even cross my mind. Because I've never been in a Spartan race with conditions that bad, that muddy before. But I thought it was awesome, because then you never have to worry about what's underneath, and you're able to have clean hands attacking the grip obstacles. Something that I will definitely keep with me. So I'm glad you had someone on your team sharing that with you. That's pretty awesome. But I wouldn't recommend wearing them if it was like a sunny, hot, clean, dry day.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then the last one is more aesthetic. I would highly recommend wearing a very bright color that is not black, because when you try and find your pictures afterwards, and there's like 3,000 photos to sort through, that's daunting.
Yeah, wearing some type of bright legging or something, anything to make you stand out at Spartan makes it a heck of, and you'll probably get more pictures out of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I got pushed to do it. And I will be doing it again.
Awesome. So that was my final question. Would you do it again? And she's already told us yes. And of course, she's even mentioned she's already started training. And it's pretty impressive, because I don't really know anyone that has started this early. And it's only going to set you up for some major successes next year. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think like when the discipline gets put into place, I certainly don't want to lose that. So having something else to train for and stay top of mind is super helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the team again. I feel like we'll just have a bigger group out there, because everyone's like, okay, this seems actually really doable and really fun.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting asked constantly, are you doing it again? And of course we are.
Cool. I look forward to seeing everyone there.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Kelly, for answering our questions and giving us the real honest truth about what was going through her mind. She was many personalities, she set up on that hill was our take home. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I saw a couple of those eye glares. Like I was like, is she hating her life or is she having fun? I wasn't sure. Yes. So anyone listening that is interested, or someone that's interested in maybe running their first Spartan, this would be an awesome podcast to share. So please screenshot from wherever you're listening and post it to your social media, send it to a friend. We're so thankful that you do. And we'll chat with you next week. Can't wait.